Here.
Mrs. Smith.
Present.
Mrs. Dickerson.
Here.
Mr. Anderson. Absent. Mr. Fike.
Here.
Chairman, we have a quorum.
Good. Is there anybody here to make a public comment? Any public comments out there? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Can I have a motion for approval of the consent agreement?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Then we have, we need a motion for the approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Do we have a motion for that?
So moved. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And now we're to the finance report.
Okay, in your packet, first up is the balance sheet. So that is showing total assets of $836,595.30. That consists a large portion of the deferred revenue from fair grants, the $300,000 for two different grants that we had applied for. And then, so those are tied for specific uses. On the next page, that's printed on the back there, that's profit and loss. So it is showing a gross profit of a little over 102,000, with total expenses a little over 87,000. So our net income is 15,151.48. The revenue is primarily grant reimbursement from the Erie County Land Bank. That was over 93,000, and then property sales contributed 11,682.88. The following page, the budget versus actuals from January through April, showing revenue under 14%, which isn't unexpected this early in the year. Our expenses are at about 11.5%, which is controlled. The programmatic expenses, such as demo, rehab, and acquisitions, are largely unspent just due to the time of the year, and will pick up when the programs start. And again, the positive net income of the $15,151.48. And then the last page is just the check detail report for all of the checks that were dispersed in the month of April.
What is RACE?
The Redevelopment Authority of the City of Erie, that's just the acronym for it.
And there's a check here I just signed for concrete, which is what, we replaced the sidewalks over at the house on West 6th Street, or?
Yes, so
Okay.
we were gonna replace the sidewalks because of the condition of them post demolition, but because of the developer agreement, we kind of held on those until the completion of it and agreed to pay for the sidewalk replacement once the project was completed, so.
Does anybody else have any questions about the financial report? Okay, we'll move on to the report of the executive director.
Mr. Chairman, do you want to accept the finance report?
You want us to have a motion on that every
Yeah.
month? Okay. We have a motion for the approval of the finance report?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we go to the report of the executive director.
Good afternoon, Board. You'll see in your package the May report with regard to the activities that we're working on. You'll see that there are a number of closings that are in process. The first few, we're working with other offices to help facilitate that. 1206 Wayne Street, we're controlling that, so we have that scheduled for June 2nd to get that done. Again, my staff is aware and cognizant of the importance of getting these transactions closed. So I have two people working with me for follow-up so that things don't get set to the side of a desk or forgotten. So we're following up on those and meeting every Monday to make sure that these things are on track. So hopefully we'll have a quicker turnaround time for these transactions. You'll see the quiet title actions. Again, the judges know what we're doing and have this down to a pretty quick time constraint. They're appreciative of the work that the Erie Land Bank is doing with regard to the properties, and they are very responsive in getting dates and times back to me so that we can present that motion and get the order entered so that 30 days thereafter we can make the properties available. So without going through all of them, you see where we stand with all of these. So it's a well-oiled machine at this point.
And how many closings do we still have pending that we were holding up for quiet title actions? Do you have an idea? We've closed on some of them, but not all of them?
We did, not all of them. I'm thinking that it's a little bit more than a handful, probably 5 or 6.
But they're primarily sales to adjoining landowners, or?
No, a couple of them are development agreements.
Okay.
Like
So
2216
where
Sherman.
the time is more of an issue, so we are getting there, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we've held up these people, probably 6 months or so.
Yeah.
Some of these were negotiated last summer,
Yes.
and what we're doing now, we're not putting them on the market till they're saleable, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've changed that process.
Yeah.
So I'm keeping them on the front burner, and my staff knows that I'm following up every Monday where we stand with these.
And have we listed any of them for sale that we have completed the quiet title actions, or are we just accumulating a few before we do something, or?
Yes, and we're working through that process currently. So as Gene and his team finish their work, then we're getting to the point of making sure that all the other things, taxes, water, sewer, garbage, city liens, are all taken care of. And that's why you've seen over the last few months, reoccurring tax abatement and lien abatement requests on the agenda as we work through clearing those properties again, because our goal when we put these out to the open market and we sign an agreement, we want to go to closing in 30 to 45 days. We don't want this 6-7 month legal process. We want to be able to make sure that we can get those properties into their hands so that they can then follow through with their rehabilitation.
Yes, we want more people interested in
Yes.
what we have available, and with what happened, we slowed them down, but
Right.
we'll be ready next time, yeah.
And I don't want that buyer to come to my office and to go, hey, Gene, I signed this agreement 6-7 months
Right.
ago, and we're finally here. I want that turnaround. I want that turnaround quick. So do our due diligence in advance of that before it goes out, because I don't want the word out, hey, look, sign a contract with the Erie Land Bank and it took half a year. No, I don't want that. So
Right, 'cause
we're fine tuning that process.
We want to see these properties developed as much as possible. I mean, there's a tension there with the community to some degree, in that people that live in some of these neighborhoods kind of like the relief of being able to buy the adjoining lot. It relieves the density a little bit. That doesn't help the city any, but it does make the neighborhood work better, I think. Mm-hmm. But we really want to see some new housing development in these neighborhoods, because the few experiences we have, the one we rehabbed in southeast Erie and this one at 6 in Vermont, I just think it's a real tonic for the whole community when people see activity like that, and then they hear about the sales price. The impact is way beyond the fact that it's only one unit.
Right. And I will agree with you. Certainly we want to see new development, but I think it's kind of twofold. It's we want to see rehabilitation, and certainly
Right.
our work in clearing, nuisance properties, but also trying to return some to a productive reuse through rehabilitation, because, certainly the words and the narrative that's going around, it is cheaper to rehabilitate a property that's salvageable than it is to build
Yes.
new. So we're going to find a fine mix. And so with that, if you don't mind, if I dive into my executive
Sure.
director report. So I did provide, as I did last month, and I'm probably going to do this moving forward, is put together a general executive director's report from the redevelopment authority and just share it to the land bank as well, because there's a lot of combination of efforts across the board between both the redevelopment authority and the land bank. And so instead of trying to separate those out, I just, combine it to both and keep both boards aware. But certainly on the front page of that, and the one thing I will highlight out of that and a couple, and then kind of go into the other part of it, but we're going to look at the properties in three ways this year as the judicial tax sales have been deeded over to the land bank. And so we're starting to evaluate those. So we're going to sort them into three categories. One is a property that is truly a demolition. There's no saving it. It's going to go out for demolition. The second category is going to be a property that has the potential to be salvaged. Certainly, there might be some interest out there if we can convey it at a very low price because of a substantial level of rehabilitation. Basically, put a property out there, see if there's any interest. If there isn't, it can go demolition. But certainly, if we can save it and somebody's interested in doing that and we can kind of navigate keeping the legal costs and everything low, we're going to go that route. And again, like I said, if there's no offers, we can easily flop it over to demolition and take care of it. But we want to try to save as many properties, especially with that increased ability, and maybe there's investors out there who want to rehabilitate. And then the third category is those true development opportunities, the properties that are salvageable, they only really need a minor level of rehab. We can get those properties cleared, ready to go to market, and list those with our realtor and get those out there and sold to somebody to develop and create a home ownership opportunity. So that's really the three ways we're going to look at the properties as we acquire them, just to try to get as many rehabilitated as possible, put it out there, give it an opportunity, 30 to 45 days for interested parties to come to the table with a proposal, and then proceed from there, and then work with Gene and that to work through those properties. So it's the kind of those, we're going to try to not go full bore on all of our legal costs until we know there's interest in a property, and then we'll sort that out in the long term. But we're going to make sure all parties are aware of that before we enter an agreement, so that they know, they're not quite ready yet and there might be a prolonged time. But I'll have more information on that once I speak with Gene and his team tomorrow to kind of walk through how that process works.
And what is the main focus of the redevelopment authority? I don't really know very much about that. I mean, do they have particular projects they're working on now, or?
So the redevelopment authority serves two main purposes for the city of Erie: housing rehabilitation assistance to income qualifying buyers across the city of Erie and Erie County, and then blight mitigation. So we manage the Blighted Property Review Committee with code enforcement and the other city departments to move properties from, vacant, abandoned, and deteriorated into a blighted designation, and then ultimately work through that process, which the land bank has utilized in their request to utilize the redevelopment authority to acquire properties under the blighted property process and use of eminent domain to acquire those properties.
So I assume the redevelopment authority has a much larger budget than we have, but maybe not.
It's primarily grant funded, depends on the year, and it fluctuates up and down depending upon the grants that we have. Certainly it acquires grants similar to the way we apply for grants for the land bank. And certainly I think that's where the management agreement with the redevelopment authority, it's essentially, the land bank's mission to acquire and mitigate vacant, abandoned, and deteriorated properties across the city of Erie is just another tool. The land bank's tool is the acquisition of properties at judicial tax sale. And so that's one that we lean on heavily, as you know, with the 17 properties that we acquired off the judicial tax sale list.
The redevelopment authority also buys off that list?
No.
Or? Oh, they do not?
No. The redevelopment authority's power is the ability to utilize the Blighted Property Review Committee and acquire properties through eminent domain under the urban
Okay.
redevelopment law. So
And-
it's another tool for blight mitigation.
Do you have success with helping homeowners rehab homes? Because boy, a first-time homeowner to also say undertake a rehab, that's quite a task for a
We
new
provide grant
homeowner.
funds to allow low to moderate income individuals remain in their homes.
Oh.
Not
Okay.
remodel,
I like- yeah.
rehabilitation, it's
To
just the way.
keep the roofs on and things like that. I
Yes,
see.
and also providing lead hazard control funds and other.
And how much money would you award in a year for something like that?
A decent amount. I
Good,
mean,
yeah.
I was gonna say, I know that there was a cap, I think it was 24.9 each homeowner could get,
Okay.
so.
Well, I like that because there are a lot of older homeowners. And in my experience as a landlord, a lot of the older homeowners, then they have their kids moving in with them, and the kids are leaning on them, and they can't keep the house up. And
Yeah, there's a lot of federal
That's a
regulations
good program
that
to,
make it hard, and so that's currently the what we're trying to work through is trying to mitigate as many of those barriers we have to some of the ties that keep it, because rising costs. But I don't want to get too far off into
Yeah,
that, but,
but that's helpful, because I
Yeah.
really didn't know. All I knew about the redevelopment authorities, they knocked down Strong Vincent's house. That was their first thing in the early 60s. That was at 9th and Peach, you know, where the trash was. First thing they do is bulldoze a historical.
our early history did involve a lot of work with the city administration and the work of Parade and Sass Street, or Peach and Sass project, so, yes.
I do have a quick question about option 3 here. For home ownership rehabilitation properties, would we be doing kind of like, you know how they do the lead-based paint program? Contractors come out, give you a bid, and you choose.
Oh, so I kind of labeled that one as home ownership opportunities, and certainly we're not looking for homeowners who are buying them unless they have the financial means and the ability to contract. We're really looking for, kind of like with Oakwood, that property was put out to developers, that the intent after rehabilitation was for home ownership. And so certainly that would be the focus of those properties, was that we want to drive home ownership across the city of Erie. And so we would want to seek developers on those properties that their intent would be to sell it, not hold it as an
Okay.
investment property.
I just wasn't sure if we were actually going to be doing the rehab and making home ownership.
And that's always a possibility.
Okay.
I think it ultimately comes down to our initial evaluation of that property. And so keep in mind, a lot of the judicial tax sale properties, we haven't set foot inside that property yet. We really don't know what we're getting into until we gain entry and get into it. So we've been securing them and working through cleaning them up and taking care of the nuisances. And now that we have title to them, the deeds have been transferred, we're gonna start going in there and putting together scopes of work to determine, what the feasibility level of that property is.
Has the Oakwood property been conveyed yet, or?
The Oakwood property did close, so that is an active redevelopment at this point.
Good, so that's another neighborhood we're hitting.
Yep.
And we had the one on East Avenue, which was successfully completed. Did that sell
Yes.
ultimately? Okay, good.
Buffalo Road sold.
Yeah, where was it on Buffalo Road? Was it out as far as where Gary is, or?
Right by Barton's outlet. Right by the plaza.
Okay,
You know, the little plaza there.
Yeah, almost to Broad Street.
good. I mean, that's what we want to have. We want to hit as many neighborhoods as we can.
Right. So also I included in the packet is, and this kind of goes back to Sumner, your questions last month with the auditor. And so certainly there's the annual report, which was filed with the audit report, which kind of goes through, it's really a pretty encompassing document that kind of puts in the financial statement information along with some of the other information as far as what we've utilized the funds for over 2025. But I did do a 2025 expenditure report, and really just to highlight, last year we were 4.3% over budget, which I would say isn't outside of the realm of a safe level. So as you know, we set a budget in November and then acquire properties in December and don't really get to view those until January or February. So there's a lot of unknowns when we go into our budgeting time.
Yeah,
So we're still
you do a
trying
lot better
to-
than I do, 4%.
Yeah.
I'm normally about 20% off.
So I just kind of outlined all of that just to give the board some numbers as far as what our operations are. Totally, our program and project costs were around $373,000. Our administrative costs were around $286,000. And I mean, certainly keep in mind that encompasses payroll, legal, softwares and systems. And also, land banking is administratively heavy. Everything we do in every property includes a substantial amount of staff time to move it through the process, working with Gene and his team. As you can see, even the legal costs associated with what we do. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't really relate to rehabilitating a property, but it gets us back to a productive reuse. And then just the budget versus actual variables. Certainly, we were $34,000 above budget on trash removal and cleanup. That is related to last year. We cleaned out a lot of properties because we found over the years from our experience, cleaning them out made them more marketable. Certainly, when somebody visits a property to look for a development opportunity and they see they're completely full of the belongings from the previous owners. Sometimes hoarder situations, they're not marketable. So we took that hit of cleaning those properties out and making them so that we could get them marketable or at least more appealing to individuals. So that was up. Demolition was up a little bit. We subsidized a few of the demolitions because we did demolish a lot of properties last year, which exceeded the available funds from the county's Act 152 fund. So we did pull some money out of our general fund to subsidize two demolitions out of the land bank. And then condemnation acquisitions were high. We did the one property on West 19th Street. We paid the owner $30,000 in just compensation and settled out of court on that one. So that we saved money on the legal costs, but ultimately we had to pay him the appraised just compensation value on the property.
And that was the commercial property?
Yes.
That was kind of pushed in our direction, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's been resolved?
That,
Or
it's
that's-
in our ownership, and it's
The-
going out for a phase 2 environmental here in the next 2 weeks.
Has all that junk been cleared from that, or?
The cars have been removed.
Okay,
So
good.
currently, the cars are removed, the property's secured, and once we know the environmental extent and get a demolition scope put together, it'll go out for demo bid.
1918 Cascade, we took that one over, correct? I think we talked about it.
I'm trying to
I
think
missed
which
the last
one.
meeting prior.
Was that a condemnation?
I want to say.
So that one was pulled from the condemnation list because the owner is actively undergoing rehabilitation. So we're working with code enforcement. Josh has been in communication with them. I believe we've entered into a statement of intent, 1918 Cascade. There were some structural issues where, again, it's kind of in that process of if they follow through with what they said they're going to do on the blighted property side of it, then we'll relinquish blight, which is the ultimate goal with the blight designation. But if they don't, then we will move that forward. So we did 5 properties are moving through the condemnation process. So we went from 10 to 5, but we have been able to gain some level of communication with the other property owners. In one instance, one has been demolished, so we did gain voluntary compliance there. And then we'll continue to work with the other 4 property owners to see if they follow through with what they said they're going to do. And if they don't, then we will follow through with our enforcement action on that side.
Okay.
That is my report, and if there aren't any more questions.
Thank you. Any further questions, or?
Mr. Chairman, could I just request that you accept the executive director's report
Sure.
this month?
Do we have a motion to accept the executive director's report?
So move. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is old business, election of officers, board reorganization.
Yes, so this was tabled at the April 20th meeting, so I would request that the board make a motion to remove it from the table.
Do we have a motion to remove this from table?
I'll motion.
I'll second
All in favor? Aye.
All right, so we tabled that last month because we were waiting on city council to make an appointment, which welcome E.J. Fike to the Land Bank Board. So we're at a point, so our treasurer position is vacant, and so we need a chairman and a treasurer as signers on the bank account just for precautionary measures. So currently, the chairman is Mr. Nichols, vice chair is Ms. Smith, and secretary is Ms. Dickerson. So certainly, we tabled this in January, awaiting the appointment and some sorting out of the mayor. So now we're at the point we need to set some board positions officially so that we can work with the bank to get the signatories straightened out.
Okay, and what positions do we need?
Chairman,
Chairman.
we need to open it all up. Essentially, right now, we have 5 board members, 4 positions. Our treasurer seat is vacant.
Yeah, we need to reseat the whole organization.
Yes,
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
and so certainly the board can do as they wish. We could go through nominations for each position. The board can make a motion to move the slate as listed and then identify somebody as the treasurer. Unfortunately, Mr. Anderson is not here, so, certainly, the treasurer has to be available to sign checks, to countersign checks with myself, or the chairman has to be available to countersign checks, either way. So it's just better if somebody's available to periodically come into the office to keep operations running smoothly. Certainly, a lot of our checks go to vendors. We try to utilize small emerging contractors, so we like to try to keep checks flowing as easily as possible to keep, those contractors happy. So signing them, at least once every week, if not, every 2 weeks is preferable. So those two positions are key. But we also then have another resolution that we'll go over under new business as far as just to help facilitate some of that as well.
This is what you get for showing up, Mr. Fike. Would you be interested in becoming our treasurer here?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
It's the third time this has happened to me. My first meeting I got appointed as an officer is the third time.
You'll have to thank Andre.
Yeah.
He didn't show up.
He's on his way back from
Does
Pittsburgh.
anybody else want to take the position of treasurer?
No, sure. I do travel. I work remotely and I do travel around the country for work. So I do travel regularly. So I just want to throw that out there. There may be times where I'm not available.
Okay, and
I'm never gone for more than like 48 hours though.
okay,
So,
and
Yeah.
that's why we have,
Right.
board chair is a signatory and the treasurer is a signatory.
Well, then we can vote on that.
So we would need a motion to move the slate with the addition of Mr. Fike as treasurer.
Okay, yeah, we should vote on. So,
So we'll need a motion.
A motion.
I'll second it.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And now if you can explain to us what we just approved?
So you approve
Mr.
Mr. Nichols to remain as chair, Ms. Smith to remain as chairperson, Ms. Dickerson to remain as secretary, and Mr. Fike to fill the seat of treasurer for the Erie Land Bank, effective
Okay.
until our reorganization in January of 2027.
Good.
All right, you ready to move on to bylaws?
Yes.
All right, so bylaws were on the agenda a couple months ago, I'm sorry, not weeks. So the one thing that was a sticking point, it was an addition of a recommendation to add where the board could appoint a member to the board if the appointing agency failed to appoint one within 120 days. I removed that from the bylaws. That there's too much legal that has to go into that. So I think we're fine. We're working well with the new appointments. We just kind of had with the mayoral transition and council and everything, we're at a point now we have a full slate of members. So certainly just some housekeeping things that have been recommended. Our bylaws were created back when the board was, when the land bank was originally created, so it didn't really set like staggering terms, and so we've got the board staggered now, so that works out. So that's just adding that the term of the members of the board shall be staggered so that no more than 2 members' terms expire on a calendar year. Let's see, what's the under removal, just that the members may be removed for repeated violations of attendance requirements, ethic policies, failures to submit required conflict of interest disclosures, just really cleaned up some defined removal from the board. Required attendance, we did under section 104, attendance via video conferencing or teleconference in compliance with the Sunshine Act. That wasn't in ours, so we just wanted to clarify that so that those are on alignment. We added under section 202, electronic signatures may be used for official documents in accordance with the Pennsylvania Uniform Electronic Transaction Act. Okay, and then under section 203, vice chair, if both the chair and the vice chair are absent, the board members present shall designate a presiding officer so that we can keep business going in the event that we do have a quorum, but a chair and vice chair are not present. Clarified some language under public notice. We added 5-minute public speaking term under the bylaws, and that's records retention, just that we will hold records as in compliant with the Pennsylvania Municipal Record Manual.
Last month.
Is the 5-minute one require registration in advance, like we do on the school board? Or
No, it
we're going to
just says-
just generally use 5 minutes?
Right, it just says the board shall allow for public comment on matters under deliberation at each such public meeting for a maximum allowable time of 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's fine. 3 minutes is tight.
Yeah, and we typically don't get a lot of public
Right.
comment, but just to have in the bylaws a set time frame was recommended. Other than that, that is about it.
Do we have a motion to approve these revisions to the bylaws?
Motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Who seconded that?
Dana.
Dana.
Okay, on to new business. Signatory and emergency disbursement procedures.
Okay, so, back in, under our policies and procedures, it is allowable the board to pass resolutions to authorize for signatories within the Erie Land Bank operations. And so we did that back in December for the executive director to sign checks, which helped alleviate some issues. And this is just another way to clean that up and allow for an alternate check signatory. And so our goal is, in my absence, if we have checks for the land bank that are signed and April is able to obtain the chair or the secretary, she is then authorized to be the secondary signatory under a board member. And then the resolution also allows for emergency disbursement procedures, which really outlines that if there is the event that we have a bill due and it's time sensitive, that I would sign the check, April would co-sign it, and then we would notify the board as to the check that was signed and the reason for the emergency situation, just to make sure that we're not incurring late fees or other fines or that would be accompanied by, a check being delayed under signatory. And that's, typically insurance payments, bills to our third-party software vendors, or even the city treasurer office under stormwater fees or the like, so.
Or the contractors, they're always,
Yeah, and
at the
in
door.
the rare event that a contractor is requesting payment and we can't get a signatory down to the office by Friday, and we would really like to get them paid just to allow for that. So, and as the policies and procedures state, the board has the right to enter into resolutions, and if at any time the board feels that these resolutions aren't working, the board has the right to repeal any resolution. So I add that as a caveat to this, so.
okay, can we have a motion to approve the resolution dealing with disbursement procedures?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next is discharge of a municipal lien on a property on East 23rd Street.
Yeah, so we have a property at 622 East 23rd Street that there is a municipal lien identified under docket 2023-50289, and just seemed to be a little bit out of the ordinary compared to our normal lien disbursement request. So created a separate individual resolution for the board to approve, and under our city ordinance, it allows the Erie Land Bank the ability by resolution to exonerate city taxes and city liens. So this is just following in line with that, but giving us a resolution that identifies the docket number to then request a satisfaction from the city to exonerate that.
And what was the lien for?
It was a nuisance lien. That's all the information we have. So it was more than likely trash cleaning or board and seal activity.
And how much money?
It was for $515.13 plus incurred interest, penalties, fees, and related charges.
The 515 is the total?
Yeah, $515.
What was different about this than?
There was a docket number filed,
Okay.
and it was, and so as Gene and his team worked through, we tried to not name the city of Erie as a defendant in a case, so we tried to clear as many of those as possible. And since there was a filed docket number, it just was, it's different than going to the treasurer's office and asking for an exoneration of the
Yeah.
fee that they have.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, can we have a motion to approve this discharge of lien?
Motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next is the interesting part, vacant lot developer proposals.
It's not very interesting this month, we have none.
Okay. Oh, okay, that's,
We thought we might have one or two, but we're still working through the due diligence period on those.
and do we have any pending developments now?
There is no pending developments right now. We do have a slate of, don't quote me, I believe 4 properties that are working through that process. Gene and his team have finished up their quiet title action, so we're just kind of trying to button up our side of it, and then we'll get those listed with the realtor.
Did 908 East 26th Street, did the rehab begin?
It is pending closing.
Okay.
There was some confusion with attorney retiring at a law firm and nobody knowing who was pointing at who, so
Okay.
we're working through that.
We had that lot that was somewhere near State Street on the street, I can't remember, Locust Street or something like that?
Yes.
Has anything developed on that? We had,
So, the subdivision has been completed. We have received, it is now 221 Locust and 223 Locust, so we do officially have the parcel numbers. If you recall, we had 2 agreements. The one agreement, the lady is still interested. She is coming in later this week to discuss her development proposal, so we can get that finalized and move forward with that. The other gentleman did withdraw his proposal, so we will be getting 220, it'll probably be 223 Locust out for proposals again. So it'll be listed with the realtor for the same price as the last lot, and we will accept proposals and have those in front of the board probably at the July meeting.
and how big a lot is that? That's 60 feet? It's bigger.
Right, there's 3, we made it 2.
Yes, and I think they were 40-foot lots, so I believe it is 60 by like 120.
And what do we,
Again,
what do we go, so we've got a really nice building lot.
Yes, they're both fabulous building lots in a stable
And-
neighborhood in the city of Erie.
And
so.
what was the contract price on the one we have?
It's been a while. I would hate to
Yeah,
speculate. I'm fairly certain I know, but I'd just leave it off record, so.
it's over 10,000 though, isn't it, do you think?
I don't think it was that high.
Okay.
I think it was below 10.
Well, I don't, and we're gonna
But
put.
again, it's been a while, and we're gonna hash that out.
And we're obligated on that, but on the other one, I think, are we gonna list that at 10 grand?
I'm gonna leave that in the hands of our realtor, and that's
See
what
what,
we,
have they recommended a price yet?
I haven't reached, we just got the notice, we found out last
Okay.
week that we were just waiting on the approval of the parcel subdivision and get parcel numbers so that we can officially list a property.
Because 10 sounds low for that. to
And,
me,
yeah, and again, I
Because it's
think.
a lot and a half in width, and it's in a decent area.
Yeah, yeah, so I would leave that up to the direction of our realtor to,
I mean, we can
Propose
always
a
come
listing
down, I
price.
just don't want to put it on too low and depress the market.
that's fair. So, yeah, like I said, we'll put that out, hopefully I'll have more information on the developer agreement, which the individual with the other lot was interested in both parcels. I did inform her that she would have to submit a proposal once we put it out to the open, that there wasn't gonna be any, just, yeah, you can have both. We wanted to keep it fair and equitable.
And you've taken possession of what was purchased a few months ago at the most recent sale?
Yes, we now have,
And you're still sorting through that, or?
Yes.
Is some of this gonna be put on the market this summer, you think?
that's our hope, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we do
And
have,
And some are rehab candidates?
yes,
Okay.
yes, for sure there are, we've been in, I think, 3 at this point, and there's definitely some rehab candidates, but we do have that 6-month appeal period from the judicial tax sale. So
And then you have to file the quiet title as well?
Yes.
So these, the earliest would be October or something like that they'd be available?
That's our,
We want to put them on the market when they're ready to go. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, we learned that,
Yes,
I have a question.
yes.
The comment he just made about it impacting the value of the other home properties around there, is that actually gonna be the case if you were to sell a property at that level? Like, I mean, the market, everyone understands who's selling and buying homes, that's like a separate, it's not a standard deal, right?
Yeah, no, our vacant lots, and specifically, I think the ones that we've sold, 1737 West Sixth Street is an odd parcel. In Frontier, really outside of the normal. Locust, again, stable neighborhood, up, 3200 block, city of Erie, different neighborhood demographics. So those lots really don't relate to a lot of the lots that we sell, in the 21st Street area, down on the East Bayfront area. So, certainly we don't sell our lots for very much. And so it just really depends upon, but it could help. I don't know what other vacant parcels reside in that area.
Yeah.
But,
As a realtor, you're a realtor, right? Correct. Would you go in there and use that as a comp though? Like if you're trying to sell or value another house?
Probably,
Yeah.
well, are we talking about the vacant land?
Yeah, yeah.
It just really depends on the area.
Yeah. Well, that specific parcel I'm asking.
But we have sold a lot of them dirt cheap to neighbors and such, $500, $1,000. And we were able to get them off our maintenance schedule, and we're opening up, reducing the density a little bit in those neighborhoods, so there's some advantage to that. But, we sold that lot at 6 in Vermont. Now that house sold for $480,000. That's going to affect hundreds of homes there. The one that's starting in Oakwood, that's going to encourage people up there. We rehabbed the one in southeast Erie, and there's a halo effect to what we do. So that lot up there, I don't want to be in a giveaway on that. It's different than these lots that we've owned for years that we're just mow and don't have any activity on.
right, and certainly I think, like we said, you're right, everything we do, and even those developments have a ripple effect across the community. But to that fact, even our demolitions have a positive effect on the property values that are adjacent to those. And so really everything that the land bank does is essentially, for the betterment of the neighborhoods.
People
and to
like
drive
action
that.
in their neighborhoods. I mean, knocking things down it's making progress, not as much as putting something up, but people like to see things being done.
Yeah, but again, ultimately, we always say we advocate for the people who are living next to a vacant, abandoned, interior property, because I know I wouldn't want to live next to one, and no resident of the city area should be subject to a vacant property that's a nuisance or an attractive property for vagrants or criminal activity. And so, anything that we can do to either rid that cancer from the neighborhood or push properties for development, is the ultimate goal of the land bank.
And we're trying to help with the school district because we just had a board retreat at the new Edison School, $35 million. Replacing a facility was over 100 years old. So, that's going to have a nice impact in that area as well.
Yeah.
So, there's good things happening.
Oh, yeah, I would agree with that.
Then there's an Erie Land Bank tax abatement.
Yeah, so this is our resolution A04-2026 is a tax abatement resolution for 1602 Parade Street, which was a judicial tax sale property acquired by the land bank. And it's a request to exonerate city taxes from 2025, county taxes of 2025 with the assessed fee, and then, there is no school district taxes.
Are we
So-
getting proposals on that, or we have to make the decision what direction that one's going in?
We have the 500-page environmental phase 1 evaluation, so it'll go out for a phase 2 environmental, and ultimately will be demolished. It's unfortunately not a salvageable property.
This is that building on Parade Street? was it?
Yeah, right next to Nehemiah's, right on the corner.
This is the one that was always catching on fire.
No, I don't believe it's ever caught on fire. It's the old Legler plating building, sits right on the corner. It does have some nice architectural details. We're going to work through some potentials of maybe we can salvage the Parade Street facade in an effort to prevent it from looking like a missing tooth. But we really have to make that determination once we get the true understanding of the environmental hazards and the remediation that are going to have to occur from its years of industrial activity.
Black Wall Street is active in that area, and the school district just gave them a contract to do an after-school program like the neighborhood centers have. I'm not sure where they're going to house that, but, you know, they're getting some funding from the school district to have an after-school program, which hopefully would be in somewhere in that area. I'm not sure where they're going to have that.
Yeah, and if you recall, the lot that the land bank agreed to sell to them was part of their overall plan for that,
Yeah.
in that area.
So
Yeah, they
can
do
we-
have both those buildings on Parade Street. They're pretty big on the inside.
I asked if they were going to have these classes there, and they said no, but I didn't hear where they're going to have them. But,
Maybe ECAT.
you know, that's probably likely, you know. So can we have a motion on this tax abatement for this Parade Street property?
Motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that completes our agenda. We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.